A few last topics I want to cover with you, and I want to show you the impact of the liquidation preference and why investors tend to put them in. So we're going to go back to the perfect world example. No down round, anything like that. The sales price is still $40 million, but now we've got this liquidation preference that says the preferred investors get their money back first before the money is distributed. So that means the VCs get 3 million and the angels get 1 million. If you take 40 minus 3 minus 1, that means there's $36 million to be ratably distributed. And for the number of shares that we have outstanding, that means that we have $7.20 a share. And so now what happens is you take the 3 million shares times $7.20, you get the 21.6 million. But for the angels and the VCs, they not only get their number of shares times the 720, they get the plus 1 million and the plus 3 million. What you can see is this does shift things in favor of the investors. But notice, even though they got claim on the first $4 million in the distributions, it really only reduced the entrepreneur's total payout by 2.4 million. So not too bad. They still get the lion's share of the money. So they get over 2/3 of the money in this deal. That's not why investors put in liquidation preferences. This is. This is a deal that doesn't go horribly, but doesn't go nearly as well. All we've changed here is the acquisition price. Instead of it being 30 million, it's now 10 million. Well, I come over and again, I do the same thing. 10 million, I give 3 to the VCs and 1 to the angels, leaving 6 to be distributed among all the shareholders. And now the share price is only worth $1.20 a share, which means their payout is 3.6 million, and you can see the payouts for the other two. These people are semi-happy because they got their money back and they made a little bit of money. And the entrepreneur, they made money, especially because they may not have put much money in. But it's not the life-changing payout. And you can also see, whereas before, under the old scenario, they got over 2/3 of the payout. Here, they're only getting just over 1/3 of the payout. And this is why investors write in liquidation preferences. It's their way of saying to the entrepreneur, I at least want my money back. And if you only do, hit that proverbial single or double, you're not going to get great money because I need to first get my investment back. Let's look at what that looks like in the IRR section. You can see that here the angel gets 2.2 million back, which is a 17% return, not bad. Here the VC gets 4.2, a 12% return. So this is why I put it in the single or double category for these two people. Now the IRR function has got some little quirks, but also some utility. Let's assume when the VCs invested, they required the entrepreneur to pay 10 cents a share to all on an annual basis to all of the preferred shareholders. Well, then we would instead have $100,000 there, and then $100,000 in these other blocks. And then this last year it would go to 2.3 million, and then 2.4 million. I'm sorry, not 3.4, 2.4. And you can see that does in fact 4.3, Jeff. That does boost the return somewhat. Nobody is getting away just stupid crazy with their money, but better than getting kicked in the head, so to speak. However, we've just introduced a flaw into the IRR calculations. My finance colleagues, who tend to like the NPV function better than IRR for this very reason, know that the IRR function is making an implicit assumption. It assumes that the investor gets that $100,000 back in year 3 and invests it and gets a 20% rate of return on the money. Likewise, all these other things. Is that realistic? Probably not. So instead, they've created something called the modified IRR. Now, I tricked you because I'd already entered in the modified IRR already, but what the modified IRR does is it says not only the values, all you have to do is put an M in front of the IRR, but what did you borrow the money for? And what did you have to invest the money at? Well, let's assume that the person borrowed it at zero because we're going to just assume their operating cost is zero, but then they only got 8% on their money. What you're going to see is see if it took that correctly. Yep. The difference is so small, it's not going to make a difference in these calculations, but it can. It particularly shouldn't make a difference here for the VC. Now, where you would say a difference is if we considered, well, we also had to borrow the money. I'm just not doing a very good job. Again, not making a whole lot of a difference in this case. If it was more money, it would make a difference. And that's why you want to use the modified IRR. This is an example that will really show you the difference. So in this case, I've already typed in the modified IRR. I've assumed the cost of my capital is 8%, and then I get a 2% return. And you can see it's showing me this deal nets 9%. What if I just do a straight IRR calculation over here? You can see it's going to come up with a substantially different number. So the modified IRR here, if I take this and I put this at 0%, it still should be a little bit different. You can see even when I say the money comes to me free, the fact that I'm reinvesting this at a low rate of return significantly alters my IRR. And that demonstrates why my finance brethren don't like this calculation too much. But nonetheless, if you know how to use it, i.e. know when you need to use the modified IRR in situations where you have positive payments in the intervening years, in cases where you don't, which is if it's nothing, 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 and a big payout at the end, then the IRR works great. Then I think there's a lot of utility to go with this, because you can use something like this to say, I'm going to have to invest $10 million for a new piece of equipment. It's going to save me $3 million a year. Is it a good investment? Well, you've got a positive rate of return on that initial investment. So it says it's good. And if it exceeds your weighted average cost of capital, it's definitely good. This wraps up all of our discussion of deal terms. I know for some of you, this is pretty daunting material. You're not very financially inclined. There's a lot of new terminology. So remember, you can always reach out to me. You can post things on the discussion boards. You can watch these videos several times. You can play with the spreadsheets, but just know this. It's important to me at the end of the class that you have a good feeling for entrepreneurial finance. I think if you do, you're going to read the Wall Street Journal with a lot greater understanding. You're going to watch Shark Tank with a lot greater understanding. And most importantly, if you're ever involved in entrepreneurial finance, you're not going to make a bad deal.